Like we haven't even gotten to the show and we're having fun. So why don't you introduce yourself to the audience because like that's always the fun part.
Right. Okay. Well, guys, my name is Devin. I run a tech YouTube channel called Ckidtech. You guys can definitely check me out if you guys are interested in any type of tech related. I also have a series on my channel where I actually rap about technology. It's something completely different and very refreshing and new on the platform. So if you guys are interested in something like that, I'm sure he may have it down in the show notes. So.
I always look so forward to that. I cannot wait until you start doing tech rap battles.
Yeah.
Like, tech rap battles of history.
Coming soon. No.
Apple versus Samsung. Begin. Like, you know, they'll throw back to epic rap battles, which they're back with a new season.
They
like,
are
I know,
back.
I know you're a fan. I love Epic Lloyd so much. Like Nice Peter. Like, yeah, I'm so.
That's dope, man. Yeah.
So like, what is something like you've always wanted to talk to me about or ask me a question? Let me give it my best shot.
Okay. Well, first off, man, I just want to say thanks for having me on, man. I really appreciate it, man. I've always looked up to your content, even before I even had a channel.
Really?
I looked up to your content, man.
What were you watching before you had a channel? Like,
well, I studied a couple channels. I studied your channel. I also studied, because I learned a lot from you about like pretty much just how to move, like how to actually grow a platform, how to grow a channel and different things like that, how to get views, because you rank extremely high on that if you don't know.
Thank you.
But that goes to
that's intentional.
Exactly. You know, and that goes to the testimony of your work. But like also watched Sunny Lenarduzzi.
Sunny is like one of my favorites. You know, I was watching her when she had less than 10,000. I was one of the first subscribers to Sunny Lenarduzzi's channel.
Oh wow.
And like there's a platform that was a live streaming platform called Blab back in the day, blab.im.
Okay.
And like I was almost daily live streaming. A lot of people don't realize that like there are like 3 like dead platforms that I was a daily live streamer on in like the early days of mobile live streaming.
Wow.
Like Meerkat, you know, like Gary Vee was into Meerkat a lot. Like there's like 3 dead platforms, and I bring it up just because like in the early days of Sunny's channel, like I remember, and there was like a recording of this somewhere that like I was like, watch this. She like in a couple of years she's gonna be on the biggest stages in the world. She's gonna be one of the biggest like people in the coaching space on YouTube and everything like that. She's gonna be a 100,000 subscribed channel in no time. She's going to like grow as big or bigger than me. I said it back then. I was looking at her as a female content creator, and I knew in my gut, and I saw the data, and I'm like, she doesn't even have 10,000 subscribers yet, but she's on it.
Yep.
She's gonna be fire. She's gonna be one of the best. People are gonna be talking about her. She's gonna be like a household name in the marketing world.
Killing it, man. She's killing it. That's for sure, man. And I definitely looked up to her channel as well. So I looked at like you two as definitely being 2 of the the dopest creators in what you guys do for sure.
Oh,
so,
that's flattering.
Yeah. But I think as far as getting to the question, I think one of the biggest things, man, that I've always wanted to learn about is, and one of my biggest things I want to do with my channel is I want to grow not necessarily just a YouTube channel. I want to actually grow a business. I want to learn mainly just the ins and outs of the proper steps or ways that, from your own perspective of how you would actually grow a business. Because one of my end game, because I always feel like when you're in business and you want to do something, you should always have some form of an end game of what is that one thing you want to accomplish. And so for me, my end game is I want to eventually be able to host a conference that's back in St. Louis.
I love that.
And so
you want to do something local and you want to do something physically in the local community, in the real world.
Exactly.
That you want to create experiences. 1,000%. I love that.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things where like my goal is to be able to pull into inner city kids or even kids that may not be inner city kids and just give them an outside view or basically an inside view of creators that are out there. Like there's an avenue to do other things other than, because being from where I'm from, it's always taught that football, basketball,
go into sports or entertainment.
Exactly, like that's your way out. And
is there any traction with the coding boot camps or Yes We Code or Coders of Color or any of those initiatives where you're at?
There is one initiative that's like that. It's not necessarily on a grand scale such as those, but it's just one of those things where I want to be able to showcase, hey, here's some creative friends of mine. I would love to have you there. Like once I get to that point, and
I'll come to the first one as long as there's no scheduling conflicts. I'll try and I will come to the first one. I don't care how big it is. I don't care if there's only 25 people in the room. I'll come.
Appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. And it's just definitely one of those things, man. I just want to be able to just give back to a lot of the kids, man, and just show them that, hey, there's something else you can do especially there's someone that looks like you as well, which is a lot of time that's, there's a whole thing about unrepresented.
Do you think that, let me ask you this question, because I've been wondering about this, because like for me that wasn't a struggle or a barrier, but also in context, I never had the expectation of being represented. Like my dad and all my grandparents came here from Panama. I'm a first generation American, so like culturally there are struggles I don't have, but then as somebody who's black in America, there are struggles I do have. But one of the struggles with me with identity is different in the sense that like what I am as a person is so rare in many ways as to not have even the general minority representation in terms of like black Latinos in terms of representation, like there's not a lot there, and everything like that, and there's a different culture there when you come from that background. Like a lot of like I have a lot of friends who are like black in Puerto Rico, and like and Miles Morales, like Spider-Man, like for him, that like for them he is like a big cultural transitional shift. He is also like very much a hero to the black community, but also the Latino community. And I think that bridge, like of knowing that you can be more than one thing, like multicultural kids have a very different identity struggle in terms of representation. Because like straight up Latinos, straight up black, straight up Asian, straight up European American descent, like that is always there. Right. Even when it feels underrepresented, that's always there. But there are subcategories of people who don't feel represented. Like even my friends who, like two of my best friends growing up were like, they were picked on and bullied and people called them like poor white trash. They never saw themselves reflected in the success of successful white Americans. They never saw people who came from where they came from. What I want to ask you is, how much do you think, like on a scale of 1 to 10, seeing yourself in other people is like a struggle or a barrier for people in believing that they can be successful?
I would say somewhere maybe like, so I guess your question is you're trying to say like,
from your perspective, because like my baseline is only me, because again the expectation wasn't there. I was looking more for, I guess, an representation in terms of how I think. Because I identify myself more on what I think and believe about myself, identity-wise, than I do by race or culture or geography. Like I think of myself as a creative before I think of myself as an American, which is very controversial to say right now. Right now, it's very controversial to say that I identify myself based on my thoughts because I decided what to think and who to be. I didn't choose to be born in America. I would have, because that's a like number 6 out of 6 on a dice roll. I could have been born, I could roll to 1 and live on $1 a day, one of the 1.6 billion people in poverty. You see what I'm saying? Like I didn't choose where my grandparents came from. I didn't choose any of those things, so I just feel blessed on those things. Some people don't feel blessed, they feel it's their disadvantage. I love who I am, but I more than love what happened that I couldn't control. I love everything I decided to be. So that's my first identity. So I'm a creative and I'm an entrepreneur before I'm even like an American in my own mind.
I think for me, like I definitely want to just give people a platform to be able to see that. I think for me growing up, it was all about exposure. And I think a lot of these kids today, they don't get that necessarily like exposure that they need to be able to see, to say, hey, there's something else that I can do out here other than what's quote unquote considered the norm for what I am, or what society says that I should be doing.
So a lack of diversity of choice or options for success?
Correct.
Like, okay.
And so that's kind of one of the things, it's like my end game of one of the things I really, really want to do once I build up a business. And it kind of goes back to the question of the original question of, how do you get to that point? How do you grow a business and a platform to whereas, you're building a brand and not just a YouTube channel?
So I think one of the first things you have to do is make it sustainable for you to be able to have the freedom to expand and challenge things. So like I say cash flow is the first place to start. Like in terms of a money thing, cash flow is the first place to start, and securing your primary revenue stream and auditing how sustainable that is important. Looking at the investments you'll have to make to move the needle and thinking about like how you close that gap and how much money that represents.
Okay.
And then choosing to scale your platform and look at your sustainability and your cost. Lower your regular cost of maintenance to as low as they can be without cutting corners, but also increase revenue at the exact same time doing what you're already doing, but getting more mileage out of what you're already doing. Like if the mileage is ad revenue, I would say everything you can do ethically to increase traffic or to increase traffic to the highest yield content that you have, the content that brings in the most money, 80-20 rule, right?
Okay, yeah.
Like find the top 20% of things that make you the most money and put all of your energy into scaling that, because it's then putting the energy into the things that are like the least amount of things that bring in the largest amount of impact and money, right? So like scaling, that's actionable, that's super actionable. Like if you have old content even that makes more money or has higher CPMs, I would push traffic to that old content more than I do to new content that's not bringing in as much money.
Gotcha.
If there's a video that's converting affiliate money and stuff like that, I would push more traffic to that if it's getting sales for you and bringing in cash.
Okay.
So if Gary Vee is right about, and I believe he is, about cash being oxygen, I would scale cash flow to be as sustainable as possible so I can breathe, give myself some wiggle room and abundance, simultaneously reduce cost, get comfortable there, then look at an expansion strategy that plays to my strengths, that lets me pile on to that to get even more money out of, like, my content was bringing in views and bringing in money and bringing in AdSense. Getting affiliate links into everything and scaling that was super important. Getting affiliate revenue that was recurring revenue would give me breathing room, because now I have passive income, so it's not hustle income all the time.
Right.
Active versus passive. Like instead of killing to eat, I started farming.
Gotcha.
So if like I don't have to go out and hunt for brand deals, which I don't normally do, but when I like brand deals come to me because I planted the seeds of like raising my authority. So I used authority as leverage and my positioning in the market to where I don't need views. It's about wanting the association with what I represent and what I stand for and who I am. So I had to build brand. I had to build brand to do that, and I spent more time in many ways building the brand, and I'm trying to move to spending more time now scaling and growing the business aspects of things, because now I have the credibility, the leverage, the trust, the authority, the experience, the track record, that the selling is easy at that point.
And I think that's one of the pieces, or the areas where I'm at right now, is building the authority piece, because right now, you know, I'm still fairly new in the game. Honestly, I really just learned about picking up a camera probably about 2 years ago. So I'm fairly
very
new.
impressive for like being not that far in. Like people 5 years in don't have what you have in terms of ability and delivery. So like that's impressive.
Appreciate that. But yeah, it's just one of those things, like, because I know it's an evolving thing, and it's something that I'm trying my best to get to a point where you know, I build that authority, and I know that comes with over time. That's, you know, it's never something that's just going to happen overnight.
It isn't, but you can prioritize it by narrowing who you want authority with.
Yeah,
and realizing where you have a competitive advantage in the market. My competitive advantage is not in doing short form content a lot of times. Mine is quality and scaling quality, quantity, value of information, and how actionable it is. But I found hacks around that, because some people don't have the time to consume, especially if they don't know who I am. So I figured out content formats like 10 tips in 5 minutes. 10 tips is a lot. Promising it to you in roughly 5 minutes plus an intro and outro. And having a less than 10-minute video. Like people are like, okay. And then they demand that I go deeper on just one of those tips, which gives me the justification to now take every one of those 10 tips and make a 20 or 30-minute video. You see what I'm saying? And then I build authority, but for who? So I picked verticals. So like an aspect of something lets you build authority because other things feel saturated. So like being an authority on something super specific in a use case is a fast track, even if there are less people in that thing. You're the only person that's deep on that thing, so there's not competition. Everyone reviews products, but how many people go in depth in the use case of a product or applying the use of that product to a limited vertical, because it's less views, but being the only resource matters. And what you even do is also, you're the only like you're almost the only intersectionality of the culture of rap and hip hop and technology. I think you need to diversify how you incorporate rap and hip hop culture into the representation of your brand. So you bring like hip hop heads into tech and let them understand that it's cool to be a nerd.
Gotcha. And to be honest, that's actually that's the lane that I'm trying to get to. Is the point of telling people like it's okay to be a nerd.